Bonjour, welcome to Wahsa Distance Education Center's radio Zoom classes. This is MEL3E, grade 11 workplace math, and I am Bronwyn Slate. If you'd like to participate live today, you can call the Wahsa studio at 1-800-465-7144 or 737-4017. You can listen on the radio at 91.9 FM or on the television at Bell Express View channel 972. If you'd like to join me live through Zoom, you can get the link from me, your teacher, and also your DEC. So they're scheduled on Monday through Thursday from 9 till 10 in the morning. And we are in our 6th week of our 9-week course. At this point, you definitely should be submitting work for marking. There are the support questions in your booklets, but those are just practice problems, so please, you don't need to submit them. You decide which ones and how many to do. If you're understanding the concept, feel free to skip questions. You don't have to do them all just because they're there. If you need more practice, please ask for more practice and I'm happy to send you some. The key questions, the ones with the key icon, are the ones to submit for marking. So please do all of them, showing all of your work, your steps, and your thinking. This way I can understand what you understand and support you if need be. There are 3 methods for submitting your work to be marked. The first is to scan your work in and send it electronically. If you have a smart device, you can either use the iPhone's Notes app or the Android Google Drive app. Both have scan functions. If you need help with that, let me know and I can walk you through. If you are don't want to do that, if that doesn't work for you, then taking a picture is also fine. The files are just a little bit larger and possibly a little bit more challenging to send, but it isn't a big deal if you need to do that, that's fine. You can send it to me either through email at studentwork@nnec.on.ca and CC it to bronwyn.slate@nnec.on.ca, or you can send it to me through Facebook Messenger at bslatewahsa. The second method is to drop your work off in Sioux Lookout. We have an outdoor mailbox at our 74 Front Street location. We're the bright red building next to the post office, and we have a small white mailbox next to our side entrance that you can just put your work in at any time. And then the third method is to hand your work into your DEC. So your DEC can either send your work through the Express or fax it to 807-737-1732 or toll-free fax to 1-800-463-7852. If you'd like to connect with me through social media, you can. Both my Facebook and YouTube are under the name bslatewahsa. So you can friend me on Facebook or subscribe to my YouTube channel if you'd like, and then you'll get notifications every time I upload one of our lessons. All of our lessons are recorded and I upload them to YouTube shortly after airing. Also through my YouTube channel, there are short videos that explain common errors or confusing concepts. So that's a good place to go if you're struggling with something that might be able to help you before you just do a general Google search or internet search. Math is a really visual subject, so I strongly encourage you to access the videos. Listening only gives you a portion of the information. So if you can't join live through Zoom, which you're always welcome to do, even if you don't want to talk to me and ask questions, you can just sit and watch. That's totally fine. If that doesn't work and you can't access the YouTube videos, then let me know and I can send you a copy of the recordings so that you still have the full information. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me. We are getting close to the end with only 3 weeks left to learn new material and get in all of your work and also do the final project. So reach out to me if you are hoping to finish your credit this year and you're struggling. My email address is bronwyn.slate, which is spelled BRONWYN.SLATE@nnec.on.ca. Connect with me through Facebook at bslatewahsa. Call me on the phone at 807-737-1488, extension 2209, or toll free 1-800-667-3703. My office hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. So that is the best time to get hold of me directly, though I do teach the first hour of my day and the last hour of my day. So I won't be available during those times. All right, so we are doing lesson 14 today, which is looking at new and used vehicles. So our learning goals are that at the end of this lesson, you'll be able to interpret information about the costs of purchasing a new or used vehicle. You'll be able to describe the conditions that favor buying new and used vehicles, and you will understand depreciation values. You know you've met the learning goals because you can list and calculate the costs associated with new and used vehicles, and you can calculate how much new vehicles depreciate. All right, so let's first do our brain activation, our mental math, to get going. I don't believe that math minutes set up most folks for success. Memorization is one tool for understanding your math facts, but it is not a tool that works for everyone. So it's not something that we focus on. Instead, we focus on developing strategies that different people can apply in different ways in order to set themselves up for success based on the information that they know. So our question today is 756 divided by 24. And we're using the strategy of multiplying up. So what that means is that instead of starting with 754 and trying to break it up into groups, we're going to take 24 and figure out how many groups of 24 we need to get a total of 756. So I'm going to do this with friendly numbers. So I'm going to say, okay, well, if I have 24 times 10 groups, that's going to be 240. Okay, so I still have more space. I have more that I can get. So if I have 24 times 20 groups, I'm just going to double that and get 480. Okay, so that's still not enough. If I double that again and I do 24 times 40, that means I'm going to have over 800 because I'm doubling 480. So that's going to be too much. So let's see if we have 24 times 30. And if we look here, I think, okay, well, 24 times 30 is the same as 24 times 20 plus 24 times 10. So I have those numbers here already. So that's going to be, well, 240 plus 480. Well, 200 plus 400 is 600. Hold that in my head. And 40 plus 80 is going to be 120. So that's going to be 720. Okay, so that's getting pretty close. So now I'm going to say, okay, well, what's 24 times 31? If I only have one more group of 24, that's going to be 744. Okay, so that's not quite enough, but pretty close. So if I do 24 times 32, another group of 24, I get 768. Oh, well, that's too much. So it's got to be in between these. So if I think about, we can even do decimals. If you want to try, you can. Because if I say, okay, well, 24 times 31 equals 744. And if I want a half more group to get 24 times 31.5, so I need a half a group of 24. So that's another 12. So that I'm going to get 700, and then 12 plus 44 is going to be 56. So there we go. We're able to figure that out. So we were able even to end up with a decimal answer. We were able to divide and get a decimal, which totally can be tricky and confusing when you use the algorithm. But using these steps made it logical, and we were able to figure out an exact answer, even though we have a decimal, which is pretty cool, hopefully, and pretty accessible. All right, so mine's on. What in prior learning do we need to know? For this lesson, I just thought that looking at some vehicle listings would be useful in order to sort of understand how to interpret them. There can be a lot of information, and a lot of the information that we might need is not necessarily there. So I grabbed a listing from Madsen's in Sioux Lookout. So this is a new vehicle. You can tell because it says 2022, that's this year, so it's new this year. And so they're saying that the cash price, if you just pay for it, is $39,120. and then they break it up into the different fees and prices that you make. So the MSRP, I can never remember what it stands for, but that's the baseline price, is $38,523. And then you have various fees that are added up onto that, including an administration fee of $499. And then you get the final price, which is at $39,120. Then this particular website shows you what if you wanted to finance it or lease it, how much that would be biweekly. And you can also build and price your own. So if you don't want to take this standard model, if you want to change different features on it, you can go through the website and walk through the various features that you might want and build your own truck. So that's just looking at one listing. All listings can be very, very different and really give you different information, and you can't guarantee that they've given you all of the information, all of the fees here on this front page. But that's what I find with vehicle listings, is that often there are things that get added on later. So just something to be aware of and that we're going to look at today. So then here is a used vehicle listing. So this is at Dingwall in to look out Brighton as well. So this is a 2019 Jeep Cherokee. And so it tells you the condition pre-owned, which is the nice way of saying used. It's the nice way of saying used. It tells you the number of kilometers that are on it. So 16,892 for this one. It tells you the engine size. This information doesn't make any, I don't know, this doesn't, I understand color. That's and kilometers. I'm not a car person. But anyway, that might mean something. These things might mean something to you. And then it gives you the price of $40,985. This, even if you go into more details, I looked and they don't necessarily give you more information about the other fees that are going to be added on top of this number. So they don't give you a lot of information, which can be really frustrating because you think, okay, I'm going to spend $41,000. All right. But there's various other fees and costs that we're going to look into that their website doesn't tell us. And so that can be a surprise once you are in the process of actually buying a vehicle. All right, so let's look deeper into these new and used vehicles. So when will you use this in real life? Well, chances are pretty good that you're going to probably own or purchase a vehicle if you haven't already. But we're also improving our problem solving skills in this course. So getting information, gathering information, and figuring out what is best for us. So in life, most things are not set up in really clear cut, direct, do this, then you get this, do this, you get this sort of situation. Most things are problems in some degree. So figuring out money, figuring out vehicles, figuring out what you need, interacting with other people and getting information from them can all be challenging and all take some skill. So we're working on those skills in this course. All right, so let's look at new cars. So this is on page 30 of your aisle book. And new cars have numerous costs in addition to the sticker or the base price. Some of those extra costs are as follows. So could be delivery, freight, pre-delivery expense, pre-delivery inspection, administration fee, dealer preparation. All of these things, you don't necessarily need to understand what they are, but knowing that there are various costs that are going to be added on top of that price that says this is how much the car is. That's not necessary. That's not true. There's more. There's also a fuel consumption tax for all new cars that is added. And if the car has air conditioning, there's $100 federal tax added. There's also a fuel charge because they put some gas in the tank of the purchased vehicle so that you can actually drive somewhere. And there's a license fee because they usually install the license plates. So again, you can actually drive off the lot. So let's look at example of how you go from the price to what you actually are going to pay. So example one, here we have the total purchase. We're trying to calculate the total purchase price for this Ford 150. So we have our base price, which is $54,670. Then we have a delivery charge of $1,500. We have the 100 federal AC tax and the $75 fuel tax. And then we also need to have HST. How these work in your questions is that if the things that are above the HST, you need to calculate HST on. If they are below, there's no HST on these things. So the license fee and the fuel, you don't pay any HST on. So you need to calculate these things and then add them together, then calculate HST, and then add these to it to find the total purchase price. So that's really important. That's why HST is randomly put in this place, in this spot, because it's not random. You have to pay attention in terms of what indicators show you that some things have HST and some things don't. The license fee and the fuel never have HST on them. Those, I think, are generally the two things that don't have HST on them. Everything else does. So to find the total price, we are going to add these together and then then find the HST of them. So we have 54,675 is the base price of the truck, plus the delivery charge of 1,500, plus the $100 AC tax and the $75 fuel tax. And that equals 56,350. So the subtotal is 56,350. So then to get the HST, we are going to do 56,650, and we're going to times it by 1.13, because then we don't have to add them. Remember, we do this just this amount. If we just do 13% to find our HST, then we have to add it to our subtotal. But if we do it 1.13, that means that we're adding our total in at the same time. So that can just be a quicker route. You can do either way, it's totally fine. So that means that our total with tax or HST is $63,657.50. And when I said 57, I meant $75.50. Sorry. 63,675.50. 63,675.50. Okay, so that is your price plus tax, and then your total price is that amount, $63,675.50 plus your licensing fee of $40 plus your $75 fuel fee for them filling up your tank or putting gas in your tank to a certain amount. So add those on. And we get a total of $63,790.50. So the total price is, or the total purchase price is $63,790.50. So when you look on the car, when they advertise it, or like those listings that we looked at before, when they say it's $54,675 is your price. But once everything else is added on to it, you're almost spending $10,000 more on that truck. So that's a big difference from that price that you're budgeting for. That's just something to really pay attention to. All of these things add up. The tax add up. All the extra charges, they all really change that price. So that can be a big surprise. They generally don't, in my experience, other people could have other experiences, is that most people are going to finance this. You're not going to be able to pay all of this upfront. So they generally don't even tell you this number. Then they put it through a calculator to give you a payment number, and they give you a biweekly payment or something and say your biweekly payment is only blah, 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 whatever. And so you don't even know that the price has gone up this much, or not gone up, but just all of these fees have been added onto it and how much it's increased, because they just tell you what your payments are and you don't have that. So it feels like you're comparing two different things, but no, you are comparing two different things, but you don't know that you're really doing that. And that's can be challenging. So it's worthwhile to really think about that and figure out what works for you. More information is better for yourself, so you don't come away feeling like you've been ripped off. All right, so you can do the support questions on page 31, questions 1 through 3, where now you can calculate the costs of buying a new vehicle. Okay, so now let's talk about depreciation. So depreciation is on page 32, of your aisle book. And this refers to the rate in which your vehicle loses its value from the first year you bought it. So in fact, the cost of your car drops as soon as you drive off the lot of the dealership. So that $63,000 that you just spent on a vehicle, you leave the dealership, it is no longer worth $63,000. So here is a graph that shows you how depreciation rates in Canada. So in year 0, it's worth 100%. Okay, so your first, basically, it's not instant. It's not like you hit year 1 and then immediately you, like the anniversary of buying the vehicle, and immediately you drop 34%. It happens over time. But anyway, so it's more like this is like a line, should be more like a line graph than a bar graph. But anyway, so going through year 1, you start at 100%, and then at the beginning of year 0, you start at 100%. Over the course of that year, you drop, and you're at the beginning of so you wrap up your first year of owning the vehicle. Now your vehicle is worth approximately 66% of what you paid for it. And then after another year, then it continues to drop, and now it's worth about 57%. And then after another year, so after you've owned the vehicle for 4 years, your vehicle is worth 49% of what it originally was worth. And that just continues to lower after on your year 5. So once you've had it for 6 years, then now your vehicle is only worth 33% of what it was originally sold for. So that's like pretty dramatic. And so it drops really, really quickly at the beginning and then slowly peters out, but continues to decline in terms of the value of your vehicle. It's not exactly the same for every single vehicle. Different vehicles have different depreciation rates, but this is the general trend that your vehicle loses value really, really quickly at the beginning, and then over time slowly loses that rate in which it slows down, but you still continue to lose value in your vehicle. So how we figure out how much your vehicle is worth after a period of time is what we're going to calculate. So to determine the value of a car sold new at $43,950 that has a depreciation rate of 49% after 4 years. So to figure out your depreciation rate, what you're going to do is you're going to figure out, so this 4 years is already affecting your, this isn't happening every single year. So you don't have to take into your account your 4 years. You just need to know that this value is what happens after 4 years. So you don't have to multiply anything with the 4. So what you do is you say, okay, well, I have 43,950 times 49%, so 0.49. So that's how much I've lost. The depreciation rate tells you how much we've lost, the value. So if we calculate that, we have 43,950 times 0.49, which is equal to $21,535.50. 21,535.50. So that's how much you've lost. That's the value that you've lost. So to figure out how much it's worth, so current value is equal to your original value, which is 43,950. Take away the value that's lost, which is $21,535.50. And that's going to tell you what your current value is. So the original price, the 43,950, is that base price of your vehicle, because all of those other things are fees that you paid and they don't add value to your vehicle. So now your vehicle's worth $22,414.50. So how the 4 comes into play is that you just know that it's the timeline, so you don't need to multiply anything for it. So after 4 years, the car is worth $22,414.50. So that's how you calculate depreciation. All right, so now you can do the practice problems. They're all calculating depreciation on page 33, question number 4. Okay, so now let's look at used cars. So this is on page 33 of your file booklet. So there's various reasons why you might buy a new car. There's various reasons why you might buy a used car. So these are some of the reasons why a used car might be right for you. So we know a new car depreciates. So you lose value in that vehicle immediately, especially in those first few years. So if you buy a vehicle that's already a few years old, you have skipped over that depreciation part. You've skipped over losing that value. And so you're going to get it at a lower price. And it means that you're not going to lose that value that you're investing into the vehicle. You can worry less about minimum damage. So when you have a brand new car, if you get a fender bender, if you slide on ice and end up in the ditch, in a brand new car, that's going to really affect the value. With a used car, small damage isn't going to change the value that much because it's not as valuable and it doesn't feel like you're losing as much. You pay the same money, but you get more car. So if you had $50,000 to spend on a car, what that's going to get you as a new car is going to be different than what that gets you as a used car, because a used car, you can get something that originally was worth, say, $70,000. And by the time that you're buying it, now because it's depreciated, it's a few years old, it's now worth $50,000, but it's still a quality vehicle, but you're getting it at a cheaper price. Whereas if you buy something new and you're paying $50,000, you can only get something that is worth $50,000 new. There is a certified pre-owned option, and this is a means of getting peace of mind. So you get to know a little bit about the vehicle and what has happened to the vehicle before and how reliable it is. This also ties into your vehicle history reports. So you know if there's been a lot of repairs done on it, you know if there have been recalls, you know if there's been issues with it because of that type of vehicle, because you get the particular vehicle history, but also you can have some general information about that vehicle and other not models, other vehicles of the same kind. You can get that information about how people do with those particular vehicles. Whereas when you're buying a new vehicle, it's new. It's not been tested by normal people. Yes, it's been tested, but it isn't just been tried and true in terms of everyday use for everyday folks. You pay less for insurance. So we talked about insurance yesterday, our last session, and that's one of the things is that if you have a older vehicle, you pay less for insurance because it's going to cost them less if they need to replace it or fix it. Whereas if it's new and it has a higher value initially, then it's going to cost more on your insurance. Your registration fees are cut down, so you're paying less in those fees. But there are some extra costs. So getting a used vehicle doesn't mean that there are no extra costs. There's still some of these other things, fees. And so with a used vehicle, you have to get a safety standard certificate. So you have to get your vehicle safety. So people can't just sell you a vehicle that is unsafe. You have to pay for a mechanic to check it to make sure that it is safe for you to drive it. You also need to get a drive clean emissions test. So it needs to be e-tested. This is so that because as we become more and more aware of the environmental effects of vehicles on the world, driving really, really old vehicles that are polluting the air more and more is not okay. We're not okay with that. So it needs to be checked to make sure that it isn't contributing more than a certain level of emissions into the environment. And then there's also extended warranties. And then there's HST still, if you're buying it from a used car lot. So if you're buying it from a dealership of some degree, there is only the PST of 8% on private sales. So GST is not charged on private sales. So if you're buying this from an individual, then you have to pay PST of 8%, but you don't pay any GST. So you're not paying the full 13%, but that's still you have to add on. And then there's also the license fee and the fuel fee the same way, though they are not taxed. And this is if you're buying it from a dealership, you're not paying an individual. If you're buying it from privately, they're not going to do your license. I mean, you still need to pay the license fee because you just need to do it yourself. And they're not going to charge you to put gas in it, but they probably won't have very much gas in it. You just have to go fill it up. So let's look at another example if you're buying a used vehicle. So Kai is going to buy a used vehicle from an auto dealer. So this is a dealership. The price, including certification and e-testing, is $39,950. So you don't have to add on the certification and e-testing. That's already included in this price. That isn't necessarily the case all the time, but just something to pay attention to. The license fee is $40 and the fuel fee is $65. He takes the extended warranty for $1,000 plus HST. What is the total purchase price? So we still need to find HST. So remember, we have the $39,950 is the base price, and that has tax on it. And we have the extended warranty, which is $1,000, and that has tax on it. So our subtotal is $40,950 is your subtotal. So that means that our tax is equal to $40,950 times, and this time let's do it the other way, 0.13 is equal. So to figure out what our tax value is 40,950 times 0.13 for 13%, which is equal to $5,325.50, 53.2350. So that tells us what the tax is, but then we need to add it to that price, right? So then to find the total purchase price, we can now add them all together if we wanted to. So we have the 40,950 plus our HST, which is $5,323.50, plus our $40 license fee and our $65 fuel fee. So that we add all of those together. So 40,950 plus $5,323.50 plus $40 plus $65 equals $46,378.50. 46,378.50. And that is, so Kai will play $46,378.50 in total. Okay, so that's if you are buying it from a dealership. If you are buying it privately, so Junie buys a used car privately, the car price is $11,141 plus certification, so she needs to certify it on top, which is $95, plus the emissions test, which is $37.50, plus HST on those two things. These things need HST. And then plus PST on the car price because it's private sale. So what is the total purchase price? Okay, so let's do the, so we need to figure out what our PST is first. So remember PST, they said was 8%. So we're gonna, on our car price, $11,141 times 8%, so 0.08 is equal to, do that on our calculator. Sorry, I'm having a day today. Things are, I'm pressing buttons wrong and writing things down wrong constantly. $891.28. So that is the PST that we're gonna have to pay, $891.28. And then the HST that we need to pay is going to be on the $95 plus the $37.50 because we're doing HST on both of them. So we could do them separately. We could do the HST on $95 and then HST on the $37.50, or we can add them together and then do the HST on it all at once, which is what I'm doing. So do that in your calculator. If you're doing it in a calculator, I forgot, you need to put it in brackets just like I wrote it down so that it follows the order of operations, right? So if I would have just done 95 plus 37.50 times 0.13, then it would have only multiplied the 37.50 times 0.13. But we want it to be multiplied by both the 95 and the 37.50 times 0.13. So you need to add them together first. So that's $17.23. So then the total purchase price is the original price of the car, so $11,141 plus the PST on that car, which is $891.28, plus the $95 to get a safety, plus the $37.50 to get it e-tested, plus the HST that was on those two things. So add those all together. 11141 plus 891.28 plus 95 plus 37.50 plus 17.23 is equal to $12,182.01. 12,181.01. $82. So that is the total purchase price for Junie. Remember, you're still going to have to do licensing and fuel, but those are going to be separately. Or they could be included. Like you could have to calculate that as well at the same time, but the question would just have to ask that, and we weren't asked that in this particular question. Okay, so that's how you do it differently for if it's a private sale opposed to a dealership sale for a used vehicle. Just they're slightly different. All right, so now you can do support questions. I feel like that is wrong. I feel like the last one was 33 question 4. So I don't think I wrote that down right. So question 5 in your aisle book, wherever, whatever page that is on, I can't look that up right now. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's consolidate what we've learned today. So we are now have covered lesson 14, which is new and used vehicles. So with new cars, you can get exactly what you want. You can go through a process where you build your own vehicle, or even you can say, I'm looking for this kind of vehicle with these features. And even if you're not building it, dealerships can call they can look for that if they can find that for you. So you can get really what you want, but it is more expensive. Extra features cost more, a brand new vehicle costs more. So buying a new car is generally much more expensive. There are extra costs like delivery, remember freight, all of those inspection things, and administration fees, which can feel quite high. And then it depreciates as soon as it's off the lot. So it loses value immediately and very, very quickly at the beginning, and then slows down. All vehicles are losing value. That's just how they go. But new cars, you lose a lot of value really, really quickly at the beginning. So then we talk about depreciation, and it's the rate that a new vehicle loses its value. So it's usually about, your vehicle is usually worth about 50% by 4 years of ownership. So if you've had it for about 4 years, your vehicle is worth about half of what it originally was. So just good to know. And then we talked about used cars because they can be cheaper. Generally, they are cheaper. You've lost that. You've skipped over really that depreciation, that high depreciation rate. Even if you buy it a year or two after it was originally made, you've still missed that first 2 years, which are really, really high rates of depreciation. But it may require repairs, and it may not last as long, depending on the vehicle and the state that it's in. That is a con of used cars, is that you can't guarantee what state it is in because you don't know how it's been treated before. As much research as you can do, as much information as you can gather, there's still a little risk there. And then there's also extra costs on top of any administration fees and things like that of safety and e-testing, which you don't pay when you are buying a new vehicle. So just something to consider. So at this point, hopefully you can meet the success criteria. So one, you can list and calculate the costs associated with both new and used vehicles. They are different. Some of them are the same, but that they are generally, some of them are different. So know which one applies to which. And you can calculate how much new vehicles depreciate. So you don't necessarily, I'm not saying that you need to know the exact rates from all of the vehicles in the world. That's not realistic, but if you can look it up, you can use those rates to calculate how much, what the new value is of the vehicle after however many years. That's what that means. All right, so that is lesson 14. We are almost finished our third unit, and then we have just one more unit left to go before the end of our course. Just a couple of reminders. So as we are wrapping up, all of your work needs to be in by June 10th. However, there is a final project, a culminating project. We are not doing exams this year, as many folks can't get to a place where they can be supervised for an exam. So you have a project that you can take home and work on it. But it's going to take you a little bit of time. So you just need to plan for that, and that needs to be in before June 10th. Ideally, of course, there's always extenuating circumstances. So talk with me if there's something going on, but your work and your culminating project, your final project, need to be in by June 10th, ideally, as graduation is been shifted and is now on June 16th. And so if this is a last credit that you need and you are hoping to graduate this year, it needs to be in before that, so that I can mark it and get all the paperwork done, so that we can have that you've earned your credit and you can graduate. So make sure that if you are trying to get all of this done, to get it done and get it to me as soon as possible. Our next 2 weeks, I will be teaching the new material from wrapping up this last unit for the last lesson in unit 3, and then teaching unit 4. And then our very last week, our week 9, is a review week. So all of our material, all of our new material will be wrapped up by the end of week 8, so that you still have a full week to finish all of your lessons, and that you're not, that you still have time to have your lessons finished and have time to do your culminating in that final week. So we will review in our week 9 of everything that we've done. We will do a day per unit, and that just gives you a bit of review and a bit of chance to do your final culminating assignment for June 10th, which is the Friday at the end of week 9. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out and contact me. I recognize life is busy. My life is busy, and things can be hard to juggle and get everything done on time. So please reach out to me, or have your DC reach out to me if that feels more comfortable. My number is 807-737-1488, extension 2209. You can also call toll free at 1-800-667-3703. My email address is bronwyn.slate, which is spelled BRONWYN.SLATE@nnec.on.ca. My Facebook is bslate Wahsa, and my YouTube channel is bslate Wahsa. Remember, all of our lessons are recorded and uploaded there, so that you can review them if you need to. And they're under a playlist MEL3E, which is our course code. You can reach me at the office between 9 and 4, Monday through Friday, though I teach the first hour and the last hour of my day. So you can't reach me in those moments. I hope you have a lovely day. Thanks so much for joining me. Miigwech.